What's going on, guys? Illegal Defense, our NFL segment. We're going to get into it. Great games this week, especially with the game of the year so far. We've had the Vikings versus the Bills. The final score was Vikings 33, Bills 30. They took care of business on the road in overtime and crazy game. I mean, from the Justin Jefferson catch to just getting into overtime and just the constant stops. Just was a crazy, crazy game. So
Yeah, this game did not disappoint at all. We highlighted this as one of the games that we previewed for the week. We talked about, how big of a game it was. The Bills, one of the better teams in the NFL. The Vikings, second best record in the NFL. And look, the Vikings, they go into Buffalo. They showed some fight. The Bills kind of went up a little bit early. Vikings then bounced back, and then it was kind of a neck and neck game for the rest of the way. That last, few minutes of regulation was nonstop action. We had big plays being made, incredible I mean, Justin Jefferson made a bunch of great catches in this game.
yeah,
Stephon Diggs made an amazing catch earlier in the game that Justin Jefferson comes back, makes the catch of the year. Nobody talked about, Stephon
just
Diggs'
Stephon
catch
Diggs shot.
anymore, or even the other Justin Jefferson catches that he made.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I mean, look, that guy was just going off, and Kirk Cousins was either getting him the ball or putting the ball somewhere for
and
Justin
his
Jefferson to make
radius.
the play.
Yeah,
And yeah, that guy was, unguardable almost.
yeah, he was electric all game, and I don't think anybody ever like doubts Justin Jefferson's receiving abilities. Me personally, I didn't really buy into the hype because like you have these rookie receivers where they have a great rookie year and then they go into the next year and it's kind of like it doesn't translate as much. They kind of take a step back, but I mean, this game kind of cemented like Justin Jefferson as like, hey, listen, I'm here. You guys have Stephon Diggs on the sidelines, but I'm the star of the show, and he outperformed Stephon Diggs, and he had a great game in
Yeah.
general. So
Yeah, yeah, incredible game by him. I mean, look, we could even, a lot of people. I saw the graphic all after the game about how that was maybe the most fair trade in history. The Vikings getting rid of Stephon Diggs to Buffalo for the pick that turns into Justin Jefferson.
yeah,
So both teams benefited from that. They both kind of got what they needed, and but yeah, look, I mean, Vikings go and they're get into position to potentially win the game. And as the final seconds are going off, or a little before the final seconds are going off, they can't convert fourth down at the goal line.
right.
The Bills get the ball back. They're at the like half-yard line,
And
and
it's
they fumble the snap,
uh,
and the Vikings come away with the ball. Um, to win the game, or
the
this is actually in overtime, and so for the ending to go like that, I mean, just incredible all around. Regulation was crazy, and yeah, look, it certainly is the game of the year so far. I mean, as soon as the game happened, though, people were saying, and I was like, I don't know. But when you take a step back and
and you
really
really
think
see it.
of the entirety of the game and remember all the crazy moments that happened, it's for sure been the best game so far this year, and might be the best game we see for a while. But we do have playoffs right around the corner, and that's
Yeah.
guaranteed to be some interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah, even those Saturday games, we never know what we'll get with those where it's kind of like there's so much at stake. So, but we'll see what happens. Another great game that happened was the Chargers versus the 49ers. Chargers visited the 49ers. They lost 16 to 22. The Niners kind of took care of business. They weren't completely explosive in the passing game, but Jimmy Garoppolo does enough. I mean, this was something that we talked about earlier on in the season and what he's able to do. And Chargers, man, that kind of disappointing. 16 points wasn't a lot, and kind of expected a little bit more from that offense. So
Yeah, I mean, when we previewed this game last week, I kind of saw it going this way. For some reason, I've been pretty good with the Niners in general, like it seems like a lot of these pass heavy teams,
Hmm.
they go and they play the 49ers and they can't get the job done. That's not, you need a much more balanced attack to
Right.
be able to um, put up points against that defense. If you're going to just try to throw the ball all over the field on them, it's not really going to work out for you that well. And the Chargers, we know, Keenan Allen can't get on the field. We saw them struggling with injuries all year. Mike Williams has been in and out the lineup.
Right.
Look, Herbert, it takes nothing away from Herbert. He's a great quarterback, but when you don't have your playmakers, it's hard to get things done. And then on the ground, look, Austin Eckler is a great player, but he's not, a
It's not
Derrick
like a
Henry or
30 carry,
something. Yeah, that's going to
25 to
be
30
able
carry back.
to force his way in. And even, we see games Derrick Henry can't make things happen against defenses like this. So, yeah, tough night for the Niners. Or for the Chargers. The Niners were just really able to use their all around game with defense, being able to run the ball, hit plays over the top or short passes when they need to, and yeah, just really kind of shorten the game and keep the opposing team's offense off the field.
Yeah. So that should be that. We'll see what happens later on with the Chargers and also even the 49ers. They've had an interesting season. A lot of changes, a lot of kind of adjustments as the season went on. But with that being said, we're gonna get into their divisional rivals, the Seahawks, versus the Bucks. It was the Seahawks. They lost 16-21. They kind of rallied a little bit towards the end of the game. And I mean, what an environment. I mean, you would think they were actually in America, but it was just that environment outside, like that morning game was just like, oh wow, like
Yeah, that
you know,
it was actually they definitely weren't in America because America, our games don't have that kind of vibe.
right, right,
You
right.
could probably argue that was one of the better regular season game vibes we've had. Um, and yeah, look, the crowd was crazy over there in Germany.
Yeah.
Those guys clearly they love their football over
Hmm.
there, and it's certainly a market that the NFL is going to need to
Take a look
tap
at.
into. We have the tons of London games. Look, those are fun. Those are great. We get to have guys go over there and play for that crowd, but yeah, Munich is certainly a place where the NFL, I'm sure, is figuring out right now how to get as many games they can over there
Yeah.
because that environment was, through the roof. It was great. Everybody was talking about it. Even all the you know what would you call it, networks that send their teams over there, even they couldn't stop raving about how
How
great
crazy it was.
everything was. Those guys were cheering nonstop. They're singing along with songs. The game ends, these guys are still in the stands having a party pretty much.
Yeah, just having a blast.
And you look, and that's fun to see, and that's exactly what this game needs. But yeah, Brady gets to get back on track here. Much needed win against the Seahawks. The Seahawks, a great team in their own right. We've been talking about how they've come out this year and really made some things happen. Geno Smith able to, make some plays. The defense being
Right.
opportunistic. Their rookie corner Tariq Woolen being able to, come away with tons of picks so far. But yeah, Brady able to kind of get the
Take care of business.
take care of business, get the job done, and get them pointed on the right direction so they could get back on track and make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, and this seems like this is Brady's kind of repertoire where it's like, oh, is Brady done yet? Or oh, is Brady? And it's like as a fan now seeing it, like it's great to see him kind of stride. This is we're in the battlegrounds of real football where it's November, weather starts to take a toll on teams, injuries. We really get to see the team's true identities play in tough environments. And Tom Brady strives to do that. So great to see the Bucks get back on track in Germany. And speaking of Germany, we're gonna get into our next topic and just really like what are the potential kind of places that the NFL should look at as far as expanding some to have these games at. And
Yeah.
obviously Munich is something that I'm sure they're looking into. But what are some of the other cities that you think they should tap into?
Well, so there's two ways to look at this. It's, what cities can they go and do games in, and then the other way is kind of a little bit more of a stretch of a fantasy, and it's like, okay, if the NFL was to expand internationally and
Right.
put some franchises in other teams that are not in the U.S., what are some good cities? So obviously, it's become very clear Munich is a great place.
Yeah.
It's very far in terms of trying to have a real NFL team there.
Right.
I don't know how much more technological and traveling
Yeah, that would be a
improvements we
lot.
need to have a team that's based in Munich and travel, all over to the US all the time. Basically every week. You probably need, like four teams that are all in that same area of the world, right? Maybe a London team, a team in Germany, and maybe like two other teams there. So that way, it would still be a lot of travel for them,
Yeah.
but at least between
It's a
your
little
eight home
bit
games,
doable.
between your eight home games and the other, you know, other times that you play the teams in your division, at least you're not in a rigorous traveling schedule.
Right.
So that's one way to do it. But yeah, like I said, Munich is certainly one of them. London seems to be a kind of a given. It seems like Munich had the better crowd, but they also been starved for it.
Yeah.
London, we've been
To
To
London.
London. London is, right across the pond, as they say. It's still not a very close flight, but it's close enough. And if you have other teams over there on that side of the, towards their area, then
Right.
it might be doable. Some other places though, Mexico. They've done games in Mexico. I mean, they sent the Raiders down there a few times.
Hmm.
When you see the NBA send teams, who was it? Was it Luca or somebody? Was down there speaking Spanish.
Yeah, I
In
think
some
it
of those
was
games,
Luca.
we saw. I think Ginobili like killed a bat in in Mexico one time.
Sounds like a Ginobili thing to do.
Yeah, with his bare hands, he just runs out and slaps it down in an NBA game. But yeah, Mexico City is another one. I mean, we have a lot of Cowboys fans that come from Mexico, Raiders fans as well. I know, a lot of times when they hold the games down there in the southwest part of the country, you get a
Hmm.
lot of fans come from Mexico to go watch those games. So Mexico City might be a great one to have one.
I think that would be a considerably great thing, considering you don't have to go all the way to Texas to be disappointed to see the Cowboys lose on Sunday, and then go all the way back and then try to enjoy your whole week until you have the next week to see if they win or if they lose in a upsetting way. So
Yeah. And lastly, an easy one might be a team like a place like Toronto.
no,
Toronto's a very international type of city. I mean, they obviously they're more into hockey up there, but they have their Canadian football. But Canadian football is no substitute for the NFL.
right,
And so to put an NFL team in Toronto, you get the whole kind of thing where the whole country kind of will probably root for that team mostly type
yeah,
of
for
thing,
sure.
similar to how people do for the Raptors up there.
The Blue Jays,
Yeah, exactly. So and Toronto, being so close to the US and in the northeastern cities up there, traveling wouldn't be much of a problem. Probably
yeah.
one of the easier traveling places that you could be anywhere outside of the US.
Right, and they'll have a lot of advantages considering if they're able to put together a good team. You have that home field advantage in Toronto. I'm sure that's not the most pleasant place to play football in that weather,
Hmm.
especially if it's in December or if it's in November, whatever the case is. But what I kind of thought with this potential expansion, not to get too much into it, but the NBA has obviously the G League, and they have a development league, whereas like the NFL, we don't really have a development league. So say for example, if they were to maybe, like you said, like in London and Munich, they have kind of like a few teams there, like maybe one or two teams there, and it's like you could kind of make your own, not league, but kind of your own conference there and develop players there. And maybe a different time of the year, maybe in the summer where the weather's a little bit better, you can have a little bit more of an audience. Something like that is something I thought of. I don't know if the NFL is thinking of something like that, but I mean, it could create one more jobs for players. I mean, for coaches, and then on top of that, create more opportunities for players. So And obviously the turnout seemed to be well there. So be something to root for. So our next topic that we're gonna kind of get into is the most disappointing teams. I mean, we've had a lot of teams that had high expectations heading into the season. From the Raiders with their new head coach and obviously their new personnel. They were able to get Devontae Adams. They were able to get Chandler and um, Chandler Jones, and it's just I don't know what's going on there. It just seems to like I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's the quarterback, a combination of both.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
rough. I mean, for them to play so bad, it's very confusing. I mean, look, people have their a lot of different polarizing and divisive opinions on Derek Carr. At the end of the day, that guy has been able to put up numbers and throw the ball well enough
mhm.
that they should be able to win some games, and they can't. Instead they go and they lose to another team that is also disappointing in the Colts. They
Mhm.
bring in Jeff Saturday off his couch at home,
Gets it done on a Sunday.
and he gets it done. After there's the graphics of him talking about how bad the Raiders are, like a week and a half, 2 weeks before he ends up coaching the Colts and beating them.
Yeah, he
You
said
know,
they're terrible. He said the Raiders are terrible, and then he gets off his couch and beats them on a Sunday.
yeah. After everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people wanted to take shots at Jeff Saturday and talk about how he's so unqualified, how it's shameful that this is able to happen.
Right.
Look, this guy just came in and won a football game. You know what I mean? It just seems very odd. Like, I get it. Like, when the hire happened, it was certainly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But when you look at a guy like Jeff Saturday, a a top tier kind of guy,
One of the best centers.
yeah, he's like a Hall of Fame worthy type player. Certainly one of the best players in that Colts franchise's history.
And played
But
alongside one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, in Peyton
he
Manning.
was around Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Dwight Freeney and and Mathis and on
Bob
and on.
Sanders.
Bob
The
Sanders,
list goes on
Edgerrin
and on.
James,
Reggie
and
Wayne.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, look, he played with a lot of greats. The Colts as a team, as a franchise, have been a pretty well oiled machine in terms of always being one of the better franchises. Similar to like a team like, the Steelers
Yeah.
and the Packers,
Where
and
they're consistently
yeah, where they're
good.
consistently good.
Yeah.
And so if you're Jim Irsay, he probably said to himself, look, these guys that we're bringing in here, they just don't get it. They
Yeah.
don't get how things need to be in this building. Let me bring in somebody who can at least do that.
You know what kind of stood out to me when I was watching, because I watched a little bit of the game. When I was watching the Colts Raiders game, they had an identity, and
Mhm.
all season long, there was games where Jonathan Taylor, who just came off of a stellar year last year, he's gotten like maybe 5 or 6 carries. It's like, why are you giving a back that takes time to? He's Jonathan Taylor. He's not a back. I mean, yeah, you might hand it off to him and he might break a 60-yard run, 50-yard run, but he's kind of similar to Derrick Henry, where it's like he's a volume
Yeah,
runner.
you want to get
keep
him to
feeding
wear
him.
out the defense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they got Matt Ryan and they got kind of pass heavy, and it's like they were like, oh well, let's kind of, and it's just like, come on, man. So I mean, it's just it's weird because the Raiders have all the personnel and all the pieces to do something, but I mean, it is what it is, and so yeah.
Yeah. Some other teams that we could run through real quick. The Packers, they get the big win against the Cowboys, but there's no question they've been disappointing before that. Maybe that is the win that kind of is able to turn this team around. But for sure, the Packers need to do something because their season is kind of slipping away from them. The Cardinals, um, look, I mean, they have Kyler Murray there. Something seems to be pretty off.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, and it probably won't get better since this
Nah.
thing is just out and still around. So, yeah, but Kyler Murray is getting all angry at his teammates. He's getting angry at
Pointing
coaches.
the finger, not taking accountability.
Yeah, and for a guy in Kyler Murray, I mean, look, he gets a lot of criticism, but when you watch that guy play, I mean, he's still able to do some amazing things on the
Right.
football field. I think it would be stupid to count this guy out,
Yeah, for sure.
regardless of what's going on. But yeah, something is going on with that team that they gotta figure out, and they gotta get some things fixed. And then the Rams. I mean, look, and the Rams, they don't have all the drama, but we even seen Jalen Ramsey come out now. He says, yeah, it's the offenses was holding us back. Cup is now out on the IR.
Yeah, that's a huge loss.
Cup is like the one bright spot for them. And yeah, Stafford just hasn't been playing well. Now he doesn't have Cup to lean on. It just seems like the Rams season is kind of just done at this point. Cooper Cup going to the IR kind of is the last nail in the coffin for this team. Pretty much now you just eat. Look, I know there's still a lot of games to be played, but it just seems like you're just do what you do this year, whatever. Worry about next year.
Yeah.
Sadly enough, they trade all their picks, so
yeah, it's not much.
I don't even know off the top of my head who has their pick, but they're probably gonna be picking in the top 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
yeah, it's kind of weird. You would think they would considerably have a Super Bowl hangover, but it's like completely opposite. They're still struggling. They haven't been able to get their run game going. There's been some questions with Cam Akers and his health, and Henderson has obviously handled most of the load, but it's also again it's kind of weird to see from a Sean McVay offense because we know how creative he is offensively and how his offensive mind works. So yeah, I mean I would kind of mark their season up as kind of done at this point, especially with how strong that division is.
yeah, and it's tough though because obviously they go and they win the Super Bowl last year, and in some ways almost whatever they needed to do to get that
chip. Yeah.
seems validated. But on the flip side now, okay, you let Von Miller go. OBJ is not in there back with you.
Yeah.
Stafford seems to have taken a step back. You traded away a lot of your picks. You overloaded a bunch of salary to be pushed back and back and back. So it's like when you have a year like this right after the Super Bowl, it's very not good for very not good. But
I mean,
it pretty much is very not good to be in this position because draft wise, you traded your picks. Capital. You don't get to benefit from being towards the end of towards the end of the standings,
and there's
because
so much uncertainty on that team.
Because look, when you're we've seen it with other teams, like for instance the Spurs, they're able to go and get Tim Duncan in a year where their guys are injured on a down year, even though they're a solid franchise, but they're able to reap the benefits because they have that pick, and they grab Tim Duncan, and then they go on a dynasty run, right? But when you do too much, you have to be careful because you're kind of stuck. And then we're not even talking that much about the salary cap implications of all these guys who they just keep pushing back more years. Some point you gotta pay the bill, and you're gonna probably be stuck with a really bad team for a few years if you can't pull some magic off. So yeah.
So we'll see what happens with them towards the end of the year, and hopefully they have some positive to take away from this season. So leading into our next segment, we're going to get into our weekly previews. We're going to get into a divisional game with the AFC East. At this point, seems very interesting considering the teams are doing both well. We're going to go with the Jets versus the Patriots, where the Patriots are the -3.5 favorite at home, and they've been pretty much bullying the Jets like every year that they play them. And I think with how well the Jets have been playing and how well they've been able to stay afloat considering all their injuries and tribulations that they've gone through, I personally like the Jets in this game.
Yeah, this is one that's it's a weird one to call. Obviously the Patriots been beating them up. You kind of feel like this is the year it might change. I would be pretty confident in picking the Jets if Breece Hall was still playing for them. I'd feel very good about it with how Breece Hall has been playing. So it's a real shame that he got injured and he's out for the year. But look, they've been able to make do with their other running backs, trades, the other guys they have in house. So, but yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Wilson is able to hook up with Garrett Wilson for a few big plays here and come out with a win against the Patriots team. Patriots are a bit up and down with how they play. They shown some ability to really have a lockdown secondary
Right.
at certain games and certain times of this season. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, this seems like it might be a game that the Jets could steal on the road against the Patriots and really kind of put even more so a stamp of oh, we're back, we're here to play, we're not
Right.
gonna let you other teams push us around anymore against the Patriots. That's the huge one that they really have a hard time against. So
Yeah.
will certainly be interesting to see if
Yeah.
the Jets could respond here.
Yeah, I think it would be good for Salah to get a win under his belt against the Patriots. I think they want to kind of get that revenge, just considering that's one of their losses, one of their few losses, which is surprising that we're saying this in this point of the season, considering how the Jets' history has been. But again, I think it all ties down to kind of the turnover battle. I think if Zach Wilson takes care of the ball and he's able to get Garrett Wilson the ball, then maybe that'll be the end result, and maybe the Jets come out on top. Um, so yeah, so the next game that we're gonna get into is the Cowboys versus the Vikings. The Vikings are the -2.5 or -2 favorite at home, rightfully so. Because how about them Cowboys? Always losing in big time games. I wonder what Kirk Cousins' record against the Cowboys is. It would be interesting to see that, but I think the Vikings can take care of business. I think the Cowboys they just struggle against this team only because their defense, it doesn't seem like last year their defense was their strong point and their offense could kind of gain off of that a little bit, but this year the Cowboys just seem all over the place. I mean that's usually the case in some matters, but this year it seems more like in their whole team as a whole. Like there's no real like clear cut stand thing that stands out with them. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys defense has played exceptionally well at times, but yeah, like you said, it just seems kind of all over the place. They show up one game, they don't the next. This Vikings team that we talked about the big win they came off with against the Bills at Buffalo. So now they get to have the Cowboys coming into their house. The Cowboys just suffered a loss to the Packers, and look, this is a game that I like the Vikings to keep things rolling here, keep the good times rolling, get another win, keep that only one loss on your record, and yeah, I think the Vikings look if they're able to do what they did against the Bills.
right. Oh, for sure.
I
Then
don't see other things happen that we can't predict too. If the Cowboys came out and won this game, would it be so surprising? No.
no, not at all.
But I think you have to lean towards the Vikings here, watching how they handle that game against the Bills. The Bills have a solid defense in their own right, and they were just able to make more plays, and they certainly don't struggle to put up points. Something that the Cowboys they do struggle to be able to put up points plenty of times here. Besides that game against the Eagles, which was like a Monday night game where the Eagles just came out and torched them from the beginning.
The
The Vikings look good in every other game since then. So I think you got to lean the Vikings here. You're probably gonna take the points with a spread that low, and probably feel like you have a good shot picking Kirk Cousins, Justin
right.
Jefferson, and the Vikings
And
to handle business.
even Dalvin Cook. So I mean,
Mhm.
Dalvin Cook will have. I think. I mean, if Aaron Jones had a game, I think Dalvin Cook is certainly going to be able to be kind of that X factor in that game. So that's what I think. So the next game we're going to get into is another divisional game that we love to see: the Chiefs versus the Chargers. The Chiefs are actually at the Chargers, and they're the favorite. They're the -7 favorite. Love to see these Mahomes Herbert matchups, regardless of who's healthy and who's not. it seems like they both kind of bring out the best in each other when they verse each other. I think obviously they both have a lot of respect for each other. But it would be nice to see Keenan Allen on the field. It would be nice to see Mike Williams on the field just to see how that would match up.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see how that ends up. That's kind of a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Yeah, look, I certainly think picking this game, just given the history, I'd probably lean towards the Chargers with the points in terms of just overall betting. Um, because I do think the Chargers will find a way to keep this thing close no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you said, it seems like Justin Herbert kind of rises to the occasion against this team, and I think they find a way to make this a battle all the way towards the end of the game. Um, in terms of who actually comes out with the victory, it'll be tough. It's hard not to lean against the Chiefs, but it also feels in some ways like the Chargers are due for a big win.
Yeah,
We've seen them. Actually, most of the big games they played this year, I've
they've been
ended up with
really.
them losing.
Yeah,
It's been really tough for the Chargers. We had Herbert, getting whacked and hurting his his ribs. Yeah. I mean, they're just smacking this guy and driving him into the field, and he had the rib injury that had him out for a few games.
yeah,
We had that Amazon, that might have been the Amazon game.
yeah. I think it was.
But yeah, so look, the Chargers, they need to get back on track. They're certainly better than their current record is right now.
Yeah,
Like you mentioned, they dealing with all these injuries, but look, the other thing is at some point the defense
has
has to
step
come
up
together,
with all the
right?
studs they have on
Yeah,
defense.
yeah. I mean, you gotta figure that at one point they're just gonna go
Wake it up.
crazy and just get to the quarterback. You know, get some turnovers. Secondary is gonna make some plays. So, it might be this game against the Chiefs that they're certainly eyeballing. And look, we know sports in general. When one of the better teams comes to town, everybody wants that game. So
Yeah,
the Chargers should certainly be, getting up for that game, be dialed in, ready
yeah,
to roll, and really focus. The Chiefs, it's just another day at the office for them. So sometimes these are the kind of games that could get you.
yeah. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna get into our best bet segment. If you're looking to make some money, let's talk some money. So the first game, we went over the Cowboys versus Vikings. The Vikings are obviously the -2 favorite. I like this game only because I mean the Vikings are hot. We've seen Kirk Cousins kind of rise to the occasion in such a big game last week. I think he strives off that, and yeah, I think he takes care of business. Especially against the Cowboys. I think he's I would slam the points with the Vikings. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, definitely agree with you there. I like the Vikings here. I think the Cowboys have been having some struggles even with Dak being back, and yeah, Vikings Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson connection is just proving to be elite at this point.
Right. So next game we have is the Bengals are the -4.5 favorite versus the Steelers. They're at Pittsburgh. They're also coming off a bye week, correct?
Yes, correct.
So yeah, that should be interesting how that pans out. I mean this is my bold pick of the week, I guess. I would take the Steelers versus the Bengals. I think it's hard to play against the Steelers at that stadium with I'm sure the weather is going to be a factor. I mean, Cincy's kind of the same thing, but I just think that environment in Pittsburgh is just it's going to be too much for the Bengals to handle, and with T.J. Watt back, I think they obviously want to kind of well, they actually beat them earlier this year, no, in the season opener, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Look, so I like the Bengals here. One, I think they're the better team. Two, like you said, the Steelers have already a win over the Bengals, and we know how hard it is for teams to win twice. It would be pretty surprising to me for a team like the Bengals that went to the Super Bowl with the talent they have on that roster to
right.
fall twice to a team like the Steelers, who just is they're going to be picking inside the top 10 maybe the top five come draft time.
I
So
love it.
I like the Bengals here to cover 4.5 points and you know get a somewhat of a not an easy win, but a more than a
Well
touch.
fought win.
Yeah, a well fought win that off a bye gets to heal up a little bit and continue on and make their playoff push.
Right. And the last game for the for the best bet segment, we have the Bears +3 versus the Falcons. They're at Atlanta. And considering how the Bears offense has just been so explosive, and their run game has been great, I mean, Justin Fields has picked it up since the beginning of the season. He obviously has more of a solid weapon with Chase Claypool now. Seems to be getting on page with Cole Kemet and Darnell Mooney. +3, I'll take it. I'll take that easy. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on that
Yeah,
game?
I'm rolling right there with you. Bears +3. Justin Jefferson, Justin
Justin Fields.
Fields.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is just playing out of his mind right now. You know, look, this guy's putting the team on his back. He's doing everything he needs to do. He's running the ball at an unbelievable pace, and he's able to make plays in the air too. I mean, some people forget Justin Fields. We talk about Justin Jefferson so many times today. Justin Fields was one of the most accurate and efficient passers in college football. The guy didn't throw 50 plus touchdowns for no reason.
Yeah.
So he certainly has the arm talent to watch him be able to make plays with his feet and really scramble, get outside of the box, get out there in the run game. We saw a touchdown where he lowers his shoulder and runs over people to get into the end zone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look, he's just been playing spectacular. He's becoming one of the funnest people to watch in the NFL right now.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
against a Falcons team that's been overachieving, I like the Bears here. I think they're trending in the right direction. They just lost a heartbreaking game against the Lions, who were able to come back late in the game and win by one against the Bears last week. I
Yeah.
think this week the Bears have another opportunity here to get this done, and I think they'll come out on the right side of this game. And I like the Bears +3 here.
Nice. So, with that being said, we're gonna wrap this up with our NFL segment, and we'll be with you guys next week. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have anything that you want to let us know, just leave it in the comments below. Maybe we'll get to it and try to discuss it in our next video. But again, thanks for watching.